If your goal is to get a well-paying job at big companies such as Deloitte, PwC, Amazon, JLR, right? If that's your goal, to get a job at those companies, pretty good salary, pretty good lifestyle, there's basically two ways to do it, okay? So the first way is the conventional way, the normal way, and that is you go to university, you get your degree on whatever it is, and then you get in through a graduate scheme to the company, and then that's your first job, and then you can go from there. You stick with the same company or go to other companies, but basically that's going down the graduate route. So you go to university normally, do a degree, graduate scheme, job, right? And that's where you'll have your office-based job, one of these big companies, and you'll get your nice pay, nice lifestyle, all that sort of thing. There's actually a second way of doing it, and that is through degree apprenticeship, and that is basically where straight after school, so like probably when you're 18 or something, 18, 19, 20, you go straight to work for that company and you study for the degree alongside working at that company, and you get the degree for free, like it's a completely free paid degree, okay? So those are the two different methods, graduate and apprenticeship, okay? In this video, I'm going to explain why companies actually don't really want the graduates anymore. It's a big problem when you're come out of university and you've paid for all your degree, you've got all your debt, and you need to get a job. A lot of people struggle actually getting that graduate job because first of all, they're really competitive, but second of all, companies don't actually really want graduates that much anymore. Companies actually want degree apprentices, they prefer them. In this video, I'm going to explain why that is and explain why the companies want degree apprentices. Okay, so the first one is no previous training regime to mess around with can mold you into whoever they want. Okay, so you have to understand, when a graduate comes into the company, of course, they've been through their degree. Okay, so they've been through a 3-year, 4-year degree, they've learned all this stuff, and then they're going into a company. Okay, what that means is they have 3 or 4 years of previous experience in like related stuff, like because the degree is probably in the same industry or something. So like 3 or 4 years of experience. Compare that to a degree apprentice who is literally coming straight from school. So they've literally done their A-levels, probably done like maths A-level or something, and they're coming to this job. This graduate is going to have a lot more experience, and you're probably thinking, oh, that's a positive, this graduate having experience. Not actually, okay? Because first of all, the experience isn't necessarily going to be relevant, okay? Because a lot of the stuff you learn at university doesn't actually end up being used in the workplace. For example, I'll just give you one example for this. In civil engineering, at university, they teach you how to make concrete and like test concrete. In the workplace, no one has ever done that. Like if you go to an office job at a big engineering consultancy and design company, no one has ever messed around with concrete. At a design company, they use CAD, but CAD doesn't get taught at university, okay? So that experience is not useful. But something that comes with this university experience, it basically means you have a mindset of a way of doing things. Okay, as a graduate, you've gone through these 3 or 4 years of university, you have a certain way of doing things, okay? So say you've done like a computer science degree or software engineering, some sort of degree at university, you're going to have a certain way of coding. You're going to have been taught by the university, okay, this is how we want you to do this is how you do this is how you code this is how you do this. You're going to have a certain way of operating, okay? The company is likely going to have a different way of operating, right? It's not going to be the exact same as the university. Like the university might want you to structure your code in this way, you go through it this way. The company you're working for, when you have to do software engineering for them, they want it coded a different way. The experience is actually a bit of an issue because likely they're not going to exactly match. Okay, so the prior training you've had is going to cause problems because then there's either the problem of, or if the graduate just keeps doing what they're doing, they don't fit with the company, or the company has to retrain them basically, and that's just a lot of hassle. Compare that to an apprentice who's fresh out of school, right? They've done some random A-levels and they haven't done anything like proper, like major before. They're completely fresh, right? The company can just come in, train them the way they want to do it, mold them basically. That's why I said mold, because the company can mold this apprentice into whoever they need them to be. They can train them, okay, when you're doing this, you do, this is how you do it, this is how you do it, this is how you do it. And it means it's a lot easier to get the apprentice trained up and doing the correct thing because they have no previous experience to clash with. The apprentice is just going to have this new training from the company and just be like, yep, and that's how they always do it. Compared to the graduate who's got 3 or 4 years of previous training, who's done all of that, and then now they have to like clash with the company way of doing things. I'll give you another example. Say you've done a civil engineering degree You're going to have been taught a certain way to do structural analysis, a certain way, like to calculate like the stress on bridges. Okay, say you then come into the bridges team at a design company, they're likely going to have a slightly different way of doing things, a different way of operating, a different procedure. There's then a clash there between what you've actually been trained on and then what's needed to be trained on, compared to an apprentice who literally just comes in, the company will teach them, this is what we want you to do, and they'll do it. Okay, so that's the first reason. There's no prior training which they're going to clash with, that needs to be messed around with. They can mould you into whoever you want as an apprentice. Now, the second reason why they want apprentices, is because there's no ego and they're not big for their boots. So what do I mean by this? If you're a graduate and you've gone through university for 3 or 4 years, what are you, like 21, 22, something like that, it's going to come with a certain mentality, okay? It's going to come with a certain confidence / arrogance. Basically, in general, you're going to think you're better than you are, okay? Because you're 22, you've been 3 or 4 years through this, yeah, you know what, I'm pretty good, oh, I've got my graduate job, yeah, cool, right? You're going to have a bit more of that sort of energy, that sort of attitude. Compare that to an apprentice, right? So an apprentice has come straight out of school. Apprentices are fully aware that they know nothing, okay? Because they've just come out of school, they've probably done some like random A levels, like maths and physics A levels, and then all of a sudden they're going to do a civil engineering degree. Like they are completely aware that they've never done anything to do with civil engineering. Like the closest they've got to anything to do with civil engineering is like they did like moments in A level physics. Right, that's the closest they've done. Apprentices are fully aware that they don't know anything, and like they are starting from rock bottom, from zero, because they know nothing. But this is a good thing, because it means they come into the company with a certain humility, right? With a growth mindset, like ready to learn things, or willingness to learn. Because degree apprentices, when you come in from school, you're aware that you know nothing, but it means when you come in, you're ready to just learn everything. Compare that to a graduate who's got 3 or 4 years of learning behind their belt. They think they're the stuff. They come in, and basically, in general, it means graduates are gonna be less likely to have a growth mindset, and they're gonna be less open to learning new things, basically. And of course, this isn't like some sweeping statement, or every single graduate thinks they're better than everyone else and they don't want to learn. I'm just saying, if you had 100 degree apprentices lined up, and then you had 100 graduates lined up, right? Which side would have more people who would be willing to learn, right? I'm not saying it's going to be 0 graduates, 100 degree apprentices, but I'm just saying it might be 70 degree apprentices are willing to learn, and like 45 graduates are willing to learn, right? And this ties into the last one. When graduates have this previous experience and they need to be retrained to the new company ways of doing this, that becomes a problem, because again, as I just said, graduates are less likely to have that growth mindset, less likely to be willingness to learn. They're more likely to just be stuck in their old ways and be like, oh yes, I know how to do this, this is the best way of doing it. And they do their old ways and they can't be retrained, okay? So that's the second reason, is because degree apprentices in general have more of a growth mindset and an open to learning new things. Now the final one is, if a company recruits apprentices rather than graduates, they don't have to pay as much, okay? Simple as that. Like, stick around with this one, because maybe this seems like a disadvantage for degree apprentices. With degree apprenticeships, the starting salary at the moment, it's basically in the realm of like 20k to 25k. So you have some companies, like top companies like JLR, pushing basically 25,000, but then most companies start with the 2, so like 20,000, 21,000, 22,000, something like that. That's where around like the average pay you're going to get when you start a degree apprenticeship in 2024, 2025, right? Compare that to graduate schemes in 2024, 2025, almost all graduate schemes are going to start with a 3 in front of them. So they're going to be starting 30,000 plus. So it's simply a case of, if a company employs graduates, they're going to have to pay you 30,000 a year. If a company employs degree apprentices, they're going to have to pay 20,000 or 25,000. And it's saving them 5 to 10,000 per year. Right, so I'm sure you can see the logic there. You're basically going to be doing the same job, more or less, like a graduate first year learning things, degree apprentice first year learning things. They can just get an employee who costs less and does the same job. Of course they're going to choose degree apprentice. So that's another reason why companies want degree apprentices over graduates. And before you start thinking this is a disadvantage, or what's the point of going to a degree apprentice if I'm getting paid less? Well, you have to remember, you're 3 or 4 years earlier than the graduate. So you're going to be 18 or 19 earning 20, 25,000, right? A graduate is going to be 21, 22 or something when they get that 30,000. So actually, you're going to get a pay rise each year. By the time you yourself are actually 21 or 22, you're actually going to be earning the same, if not more, than the graduate. I know several companies who, once you've gone through the degree apprenticeship scheme, you actually earn more than the graduates you've just started. There's the 3 benefits you've got there. Number 1, you've got a free degree. Okay. Number 2, while they've been paying for their degree and like not earning money, you've been earning a salary for 3, 4, or 5 years, right? And then the third benefit is when you finish your apprenticeship, you're already going to have a higher salary than a graduate starting, most likely. Which means you're just, the whole time, you're going to be 5 steps ahead. By the time you're like 35, if you went through a degree apprenticeship, by the time it's like 2040, you're going to be absolutely set. This is something that's not talked about a lot. Like in the next 15 years, you're going to see degree apprentices have a massive advantage, like financially in life, over everyone else because they made the right choices like 15 years ago when they were 18, when they were 19. That's a whole separate video that I'll make a whole extra video on that basically. So just basically to sum up, companies don't really want to employ graduates too much anymore. Of course, they're still going to do it, right? But at the moment, the way things are going, the degree apprentices are actually more attractive. Companies want degree apprentices in their company. There's one team at my company, the one I work for, that don't even recruit graduates anymore. They just refuse to recruit graduates. They solely recruit degree apprentices, and it's going to be because of the 3 reasons I mentioned today. Number 1, you don't have any prior training, which they're going to have to retrain or mess around with or anything like that. Likely as a degree apprentice, you're going to have a better mindset. You can be willingness to learn. You're going to have growth mindset, that sort of thing. And finally, the company gets to pay you less, and don't take that as a problem because you're still going to be earning more than the graduates the whole way through, right? If you want more information on degree apprenticeships, you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day.